January is here, so that means it's time to count down my top 10 games of 2020 in no particular order outside of alphabetical. And yeah, this list is my own, and there were some games last year that I did not play, blah blah blah, but yeah, these are just the games I played that I felt were, the top tier of games that I played last year. So yeah, there might be some surprising choices left off this list, but it's either because I don't have them or didn't get around to playing them. And since 2020 was negative enough, as well as this first part of 2021, I will not be doing my most disappointing game of 2020. Also because I haven't bought Cyberpunk 2077, ooh snap. But before we get into the list proper, best game of 2020 I played that didn't come out in 2020. I could have worded that a little bit better. But yeah, that would go to Hollow Knight. I'm kind of kicking myself for not having played that sooner, because man, is that game a lot of fun, and I still have a lot to do in it in terms of like just post-game content and hidden stuff, and I can't wait to get back to it for the channel. I greatly enjoyed LPing the game. It's a really good Metroidvania. I would put it in my top 5 Metroidvanias, and I have like some pretty good stuff in my top 5 if I do say so myself. Well, just, a matter of personal taste, but yeah, I wasn't expecting to get a Metroidvania that was that open. You could genuinely do whatever, whenever you wanted. And there were points where I was lost and was looking at a spoiler-free guide for tips on where to go next. And like, to my surprise, there were a couple times where it was like I beat a boss that the guide didn't even get into until like way later in the game. It's an all-around just fantastic Metroidvania. It is a bit on the tough side. It is Soulsborne-esque in a sense. Well, with the whole you gain experience from killing enemies, but then you have to spend the experience at certain areas, and if you die before you get there, then you have to get back to where you died to regain your experience. But if you die on the way, you lose that experience. In this game, it was Geo. In Dark Souls, it's Souls. Yeah, while it is a bit on the hard side, the combat is great. And it was just an all-around fun experience. I greatly enjoyed it. Highly recommend it if you have not played it. And I am really looking forward to Hollow Knight Silksong. Oh man, that's going to be hype. Anyway, we get on to the list proper. Like always, it will be in alphabetical order. Kicking off the list, we have Animal Crossing New Horizons. Your slice of life, daily living sim. There's really not much to say about this game that hasn't already been said. It came at the perfect time, right at the start of lockdown. And it was just a nice, chill game that people needed to just sort of keep themselves calm during the early stages of lockdown. And I'm still playing it now. This is probably the longest I've ever been invested in an Animal Crossing game, and that's saying something. Granted, I'm not playing it for hours a day like I used to, but I still go in every day just to see if Red's there and just do some stuff, like catch some fish, bugs, see what new events are happening, just talk to everybody. It's a fun time. Not to mention, it built off of Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS, and that now you can go the extra step from being able to build like just certain landmarks on your island, or in New Leaf's case, town, to just actually shaping out how you want everything to be. You can terraform. You can lay out furniture outside when you were not able to do that in the past. There's crafting, DIY, you can change how things look, like change the color schemes. And with all the different events and stuff they added, this feels more akin to Animal Crossing GameCube than some of the previous installments, and that was one of my favorite Animal Crossings. Well, I say that, there's no bad Animal Crossing. Even the spin-offs, while, different, were still fun in their own right. But yeah, there's really not much else to say about the game. I mean, it broke Nintendo sales records, and it takes advantage of the better online infrastructure that Nintendo has compared to the past. So you're more easily able to visit other people's islands and interact. And there's just so much to do in this living sim. Like, I highly recommend it if you've never played an Animal Crossing game. It is addictive. And I look forward to this being the first Animal Crossing game that I've sort of been invested in for a whole year after launch. Up next, we have Battletoads. Rare is back. Rare is back. No offense against Sea of Thieves or anything, but Rare is back. And oh man, Battletoads was so much fun. Genuinely. Like the original Battletoads, it is a beat 'em up with some extra stuff added in. And while it didn't have some of the things of the original Battletoads, like Clinger Winger or Rat Race, there was still plenty of unique things in this game and just new stuff that was added to make it its own thing, as opposed to just trying to live off the nostalgia of the original games. Plus, it also brought back those little jet ski things, and oh man, they were fun. They were so much fun in this game. I won't say it's as hard as the original Battletoads, but it still has some challenging points, and it is on the lenient side. Thank God. There are difficulty options though if you want a harder experience. It's just a bright, colorful, fun, and funny game. Seriously, the writing was genuinely hilarious. The references to the older games and just other stuff. The amount of options you had in the combat. I can't say enough good things about it. My only complaint is that I wish it were longer. I did not want it to end. Up next, we have Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Just magnificent. I'm so happy that this game exists. It is your standard Crash Bandicoot adventure. You got little 3D, 2D platforming. Well, I mean, I say 3D, 2D. I mean, there are 2D sections, but it is a 3D platformer at heart. And it just does so much new with Crash. It's amazing. The number of levels in this game, the fact that you can play as different characters with their own set of skills. That's what I loved about Twinsanity, just being able to play as Cortex and Nina in addition to Crash. Not only do you have the Aku Aku masks, you also get the masks that grant you different abilities that you can use to get through the levels. Multiple kinds of gems you can get through the stage, like just a hidden gem in every stage, or by getting all the crates in a stage, to beating a stage without losing more than 3 lives. Kind of gives you the best of everything from previous Crash games. It's like a playable Crash 1. Wow. Yeah, it's just the same good old Crash adventure, the same good old Crash humor, the same good old Crash level design. Not much to dislike here. And yeah, some of the harder challenges are really hard. And I've yet to 100% the game myself. But it's a great 3D platformer. I'm so happy it's here. And this is kind of making me think back to an old hypothesis I had where, we might be getting a Crash and a Spyro game alternating years because of how good the remastered trilogies did. So I'm just calling it right now. If a brand new original Spyro adventure comes out in 2021, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. But yeah, if you haven't got Crash 4, get it. It's good. It's really good. It also has Dingo Dial. Playable Dingo Dial. I rest my case. Up next, we have Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Dragon Ball Z games are really hit or miss. usually the fighting games are really good, with some exceptions, while the non-fighting games tend to be kind of eh. Like, yeah, there's some good ones in there, but I wouldn't really consider them classics, save for the Legacy of Goku games. And admittedly, I've never played Xenoverse, but either way, you still don't hear too much about the non-fighting DBZ games. And then Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was announced. And I admit I was a part of the camp that was like, okay, it looks good. It's comparable to Fighters in that like it captures the style of the anime amazingly. And oh, okay, they're bringing in all the original VAs, but at the end of the day, it's still just a retelling of the story that we get in every single Dragon Ball Z game. I'm tired of going through the Saiyan saga and the Frieza saga and the Cell saga. I just want something new. If this was for Dragon Ball Super only, then yeah, maybe I would consider it, but no. And then I saw trailers. And then I was like, okay, I'm buying this game. And even though it is a retelling of the same stories that we've had for so long, it does a really good job. Like, it goes into detail that I don't think any other DBZ game has really gone into, to my knowledge. And it's surprisingly in-depth. Like the Soul Emblem grids that can let you just interact with other characters in the DBZ universe to give you buffs for certain things. There's just so much to the game, not to mention, it's open world. Like when Gohan is training to prepare for Nappa and Vegeta. Like, you're not doing his training like mission by mission. You're actually going through the wilderness to different points to continue his training. It's really good. And the fighting really makes you feel like you're in an actual fight from the anime, more so than Fighters. But yeah, I really greatly enjoyed this RPG, and I would not mind at all if Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super were given the same treatment, even though some of Super is DLC for this game, but it can be redone. Up next, we have Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Just a casual battle royale akin to the likes of Wipeout or Takeshi's Challenge, most extreme elimination challenge to people in the US. And it's probably my favorite battle royale. Granted, I haven't played too many outside of Tetris 99 and Mario 35, and Totally Accurate Battle Royale, or whatever it's called, by the people who made Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. But it's genuine fun. For those not in the know, you start off with 60 players, and you just go through a series of obstacle courses, races, survival challenges, phones dying, etc., until one person remains at the very end. Each season, more games and variants of past games are getting added. There's a customization factor where you can get colors and patterns and costumes for your Fall Guy. And there have been times where, like, in failure, I'm still having a fun time, and I just can't wait to get back into the game. Though it also depends on, like, how I failed and on what level. God, I hate hoarders so much. Because yeah, there are team games in there too. Some are better than others. Yes, I do like Jinxed, and Fall Ball is great. And Penguin Pursuit, yo, sign me up. And Hoopsie Daisy is also amazing. But yeah, there's a ton of different obstacle courses, races, and just things to keep you engaged. They're chosen at random each time you go through. And unlike other battle royales, you're not gonna be in a matchup for a extremely long amount of time. Like, I've watched quite a bit of Call of Duty Warzone, and some of those games can get up to half an hour if you know what you're doing. Whereas a whole match of Fall Guys can go anywhere from like 8 to 15 minutes. So you're in and out really quick. And then if the main show isn't up to your liking, there's special shows too that just follow a specific theme. So for example, you can play games that are only survival based. Or just recently, there was a show that was 3 rounds of Hexagon, the best mini game in the game. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to what gets added in later seasons. I'm greatly enjoying it. It's fun times. Even if people who grab me on Wall Guys makes me want to, something, go crazy. Up next, we have Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. It's Hyrule Warriors, but with a canon story. Oh man, it's great. So yeah, it's pretty much just Dynasty Warriors with Zelda characters. Still don't know if I like it more than the first Hyrule Warriors, but I still really enjoy this game, and being able to play as the Breath of the Wild champions, oh man, so fun. Urbosa is the best. And it's just nice to get more story for Breath of the Wild, and just makes me all the more excited for Breath of the Wild 2. Just tons of action. You feel unstoppable as you're just decimating hordes of enemies. The tons of side things you can do. And while the game may not be as huge as the original Hyrule Warriors was, there's still quite a lot to do in this game, and it really does iron out some of the jankier, with lack of a better term, parts of Hyrule Warriors. Not to mention, Zelda's voice actor actually sounded good in this game. I'm awful, I know, I'm sorry. Up next, we have Paper Mario the Origami King. I don't care what anybody says, I enjoy the new Paper Mario games and think they are good. Though you don't really have to play Sticker Star. But Color Splash and Origami King, oh yeah, they're good, they're good. And honestly, Origami King might be tied with Super and Thousand Year Door as like my favorite in the series. It's that good. The story was surprisingly deep. And while it didn't hit the same level of seriousness that Super did, it actually did have its own fair share of sad moments. The combat is a hybrid of the newer Paper Marios in Color Splash and Sticker Star, as well as 64 and Thousand Year Door with the older Paper Marios. So yeah, and granted, the sort of puzzle solving aspect of it can get a little old. They're always introducing new enemies that change up how you have to do things, and there's even some chapters where there's not a lot of fighting at all, so you don't really have to worry about that. But the game also throws plenty of things at you that you can use to make your time easier. Money is a non-issue in this game. You can just use your money to skip through fights. Not to mention the fact that enemies appear on the homeworld, you can just avoid them. But I mean, that's standard for any Paper Mario, really. The boss fights are creative and really make you question just how smart you are. The characters were all amazing. The writing was as hilarious as ever. Rarely was I frowning when I was playing this game. It is so good. And if you've been turned off of the newer Paper Marios because they're not like the old ones, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, I've seen people who genuinely hated Sticker Star and Color Splash, but they gave Origami King a chance and were really surprised. And yeah, your mileage may vary, but it really did address some of the major issues with Color Splash and Origami King. Like, your attacks aren't tied to consumable items that go away after a single use. And there's just so much to do, so much to see in the game. Oh man, it's just so good. I know that this description is bad, but I'm just floored by how much I loved the game. And also, the music. Oh my god. The music. It had no right being as amazing as it was. Up next, we have Samurai Jack Battle Through Time. Being able to play as Jack and just meeting all the same characters from the show, this was a really, really fun game. Admittedly, I'm a little biased towards this one because I'm such a big Samurai Jack fan, but I still just think it's a really all-around solid game. Combat is just really, really good. Boss fights are intense. Being able to use different weapons, the skills and upgrade system for your stats, there was a lot packed into this game. Admittedly, I was a bit disappointed it was its own original thing, because I really would have liked if it would have adapted the events of the series. I just wanted to fight the Guardian so bad. But having an original story and them still finding ways to fit in just a whole bunch of different characters from the show makes it an all-around solid hack and slash, and just a great fan-servicey game if you're a fan of Samurai Jack. No major complaints here, other than I wish it were longer. And there may have been a little too much Damongo. Aku had other minions at his disposal. While I do like Damongo, he did not have to show up as often as he did. It got a little old. It got a little long in the tooth. Up next, we have Trackmania, a racing game. Free to play, I might add. Unless you want to pay for daily tracks like that are user created and developer curated. Then in that case, yeah, you have to pay like $10 a year? But it's worth it. Well, yeah, it is a racing game where you're just doing time trials. Pretty much just are competing against other players in your region and worldwide to just get the fastest lap time on each course. And there's tons of different terrain. You have the standard track, there's ice, which is god-awful, dirt, grass, tons of different things to affect the course, or you driving on the course rather, like boost pads, loop-de-loops, hazards that can turn off your engine, turn off your steering, or make your car fragile, so that if you actually do like a really huge jump, your wheels just become unusable. And I didn't think I would like this game as much as I did, because I like standard racing games like Need for Speed, Midnight Club, and even though Mario Kart doesn't have realistic driving, it's still a standard racing game in that you're racing against other people in a circuit or a single lap race, and yeah, you're just racing against other people that you can physically see and pass them and bump into them, ram them, all that stuff. And with Trackmania, you can turn on the ghosts of other players to see what they're doing, or just compete in that sense. But yeah, your biggest opponent here is the clock. I gave the game a chance because it was free, and I sunk in a lot of time into it. It's just something fun about going back into a track and just like trying to learn it, find shortcuts, shave off time to the point where you like go from having a bronze medal on the course to gold, to the point where you can perfect it enough to get developer times. Ooh. Not to mention, the courses are seasonal. So every season, the tracks that are in the game are replaced with new ones. And the free version of the game, you're only restricted to the 25 tracks that get added every season. But if you pay the $10 a year, You get access to daily tracks, as well as being able to play all the old tracks. And then there is a $30 a year tier that allows you to create like clubs or guilds, use skins, official like esports competitions, etc. Oh, and also the $10 tier lets you create tracks too. Woo! So yeah, at the very least, like, all you need to really do to just get the full experience of the game is only pay $10 a year. And finally, we have Volta X, which is unlike any game I've ever played. The best way I can describe it is a team-based real-time strategy where you're trying to take out the other team's giant mech before they take out yours. There's also some slice of life / base building elements in the game as well that you can use to get parts to upgrade your mech, unlock different abilities, get new teammates, etc., etc. And it's a fun time. The campaign mode really does switch things up fairly often, so the fights don't seem samey, or you have to rely, or rather you can rely on the same exact strategy to make it through each stage or battle. Because yeah, a lot of strategy games can fall into like, you know what, all I have to do is just this strategy and everything will work out. But yeah, with the fact that the enemies sort of randomize the equipment on their mechs, and that different kinds of weapons are better suited for different things, you're gonna have to switch things up every now and then and actually just come up with different strategies. There were quite a few times where a loadout that had me breeze through like just multiple straight matches would fail horrendously against like the next story mission, and it was just fun and refreshing to just sort of like look through everything, experiment with different equipment, try out different party members. It's just all around fun. And it's also doing this thing that I like a lot of indie games doing, and that's just collabing with other indie studios. Ukulele is playable in the game. Oh yeah. Sure, it might have had a rough start with the original Ukulele game, but Impossible Lair was freaking amazing. And I'm glad that the series might have found its stride. But yeah, I highly recommend Volta X. It's a fun time. I'm also surprised at just how much I got invested with some of the different characters. Like, I mean, you start off thinking like, oh, hey, it's just gonna be a fun time of friends teaming up to go through this giant robot fighting academy. And it's gonna be fun, whimsical adventures, and then it's like, oh, this person had a fallout with his father, and this person is a orphan, and wow, this is actually getting very deep. Like, it's not a downer or depressing or anything, but it's just like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that for this game. But yeah, if you're a fan of stuff like Faster Than Light or Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, you'll probably get a kick out of Volta X. So yeah, that's it for my top 10 games of 2020 in no particular order, though based on amount of time I've spent in said game, I would probably say, like, if I had to choose one as the best game of 2020, it'd probably be Animal Crossing New Horizons. I spent so much time with that game, and it got me through some pretty rough points in 2020. And here's some of my runner-ups. These are pretty much games that I didn't play too much of to really form a strong opinion of, but I still greatly enjoyed what time I spent playing them, or just felt that they weren't quite on par with the other 10 games on this countdown, for various reasons. But they're still worth checking out, for the most part. So yeah, that is it for this here video. 2020 may not have been a good year for real life stuff, but it was actually an all around solid year for games. And while there's really not much announced for 2021, like concretely announced, with stuff that has been announced and teased way back when. This could very well turn out to be a great year. I mean, 3D World is getting a remaster. No More Heroes 3 might be coming out. There's a new Nier, some actual exclusives for the PS5, and new Xbox might be coming, so hey, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Hope you all enjoyed this here video. Comment down below what your favorite games of 2020 were, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.